All right, guys. I want to welcome you guys to R-Bop. I'm the hostess with the mostest. Hopefully you guys can hear me okay. All right. Well, folks, I am back. It's been a minute. Hey, Bobby, my favorite Bobby. How you doing? Ted Greer said, grand evening, everyone. Grand evening, guys. This is going to be a great freaking interview. I don't want to spoil it, but I have a good friend of mine, and I have a hopefully soon to be celebrity in this bad mofo. All right, guys. I have been away for a minute. I had a family issue that we had to take care of. So, yeah, I've been away. I am back now. So everything should be getting back to normal. It's great to see you too, as well, to my favorite Bobby, guys. Well, so no further ado, I'm going to bring in this guy. All right. I don't really want to introduce him. I want him to introduce himself. But this guy is running for Congress. Yeah, put your hands together for the government. He's running for Congress. And I've known him for a while. I'm going to bring him on here, guys. Please welcome him. I want to bring in Congressional Candidate Kermit Thomas. Y'all put your hands together for him. Put your hands together for him. There it is. Nice. How you doing, man?
I'm doing great. How are you? And my condolences to you for your issue you're dealing with your family as well.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. So I'm just going to jump right into the questions. I'm not going to beat around the bush or anything.
Okay.
Introduction. Who are you? Where are you from? And what's your background?
Oh, wow. Okay. Who am I? Where I'm from and my background. I am from this great state of Texas. I'm a lifelong public servant. I spent most of my adult career in the military, as you know.
I know.
Once I retired, I became a community activist in my community. Well, I work with the youth a lot, and I'm also a pastor at my church. And some of my hobbies are I like theater and acting and all that stuff. I'm actually directing a play next month, an August Wilson play, The Piano Lesson. It is actually coming to the big screen with, I don't know the cast, but it's coming on the big screen shortly after my play run. So it's kind of a good thing. But my most important job is I am a single father of 3 beautiful kids, 2 heading to college in August and 1 in high school. So they keep me pretty busy.
Hey, that college is expensive. Trust me, I know.
Oh, yeah.
What about pets? You got any pets, any critters?
Yes, I have a pet, the glue that keeps the family together, Sir Lancelot, and he's a Holland-Lot. He's a rabbit. So get you a Holland-Lot there. You can have them if you got allergies. So they're hyperallergenic. So super cool. But I can tell you this, when they're bunnies, they chew on everything.
Nice. But what do you call it? A healthy pet. So you kind of touched on it. What's your current job? Well, before we get into the current job, do you remember how we met?
I know it was throughout our military career.
Yes, sir.
No.
No. For those on the podcast or people that are listening here, we met because we were both paratroopers.
Yes.
We were both paratroopers. I believe you were in shameless plug, Alpha Company 2504, I believe.
I was the best supply sergeant they ever had.
That's right. Alpha Company 2504, 82nd Airborne Division, and I was in. I'm sorry, you were Parachute Infantry Regiment, and I was in Charlie Company 4325.
Right down the street from us.
Airborne Infantry Regiment. Roger that. Yes, sir. So.
And let me say this too. Fort Bragg has changed so much because where we used to be, I don't think those buildings are there anymore. At least they're not used. Okay.
They're gone. Man, I live. Man, I go to Fort Bragg for groceries. It's changed. It's changed. Yes. We'll talk about that offline. So now we're going to give you. Well, actually, I want to talk about what's your current job. I know you were doing promoting.
Yes. I have a production company where we did shows, comedy shows, all kinds of theater and everything. But COVID hit, and so people weren't doing anything. So I kind of was not doing anything with that. But I do have a radio show on 88.5 KALA. You can find it on TuneIn. I'm on every Friday from 6 to 9, and I'll put that information up for you. Right. But yes, I do a radio show on Fridays. I'm a pastor at my church, and I'm a community activist right now. Those are my titles right now.
And soon to be congressman. Put your hands
And soon
together
to
for
be
that.
congressman, political candidate.
Political candidate. All right, now's your time to shine, man. Social media. What do you want to put out there? Anything Facebook, anything for your campaign, any books, anything. Throw that out. Now, what I do want to get is that information from you after the fact so I can put it in the show notes and put it in the podcast notes. But throw it out there. What you got, social media?
Absolutely. My candidacy is going to be Friends of Kermit Thomas. And once I officially announce my candidacy, it will be Kermit Thomas for Congress. That will happen shortly here. But right now, it's Friends of Kermit Thomas.
Okay.
My personal Facebook is Kermit Thomas. On Instagram, it's Timrick3, at Timrick3. And my YouTube channel is Let's Talk with Kermit Elliott. Elliott's my middle name. So Let's Talk with Kermit Elliott on my YouTube channel.
See, I wasn't aware about the YouTube channel. We might have to collab.
And my book should be out in June. We're finishing up the last couple edits. It's entitled 3. It has short stories, it has poetry, and it has words of wisdom.
Wow, nice. Hey, you know I write poetry. Hook a brother up. Anyway.
Gotcha.
Man, that is great. It's good to see you. I'm going to take a really, really short break here so I can get the bills paid. I'm going to run an ad real quick fast, and then we'll come back and we'll get into the actual subject of this podcast.
Absolutely.
So, bear with me. It goes a little something like this. I would like to talk to you about Instacart. What if I told you that you could have local fresh groceries delivered to your front door? You can have multiple deliveries for one small monthly fee. Unlike some other apps or services that want to nickel and dime you all the time. If you don't have that special item that you need to make a special recipe, Instacart in some cases can get that to your house in as fast as 1 hour. Hand selected by shoppers based on your preferences, Instacart highlights deals that can help save you money. You can find everything you normally buy, and they also suggest things that may be new to you. They pick the freshest produce and also keep your eggs safe too. Follow the link in the show notes that lets Instacart know that I sent you. That will not only help the show, but it will also, in this case, give you free delivery on your first order over $35. Instacart. Never go out to go grocery shopping again. All right, we're back. We never went anywhere, but we are back.
Glad to be back.
Oh, yeah, had to get the bills paid, man. Got to get the bills paid. Now,
absolutely.
The subject for this podcast is your congressional run. All right.
Absolutely.
When did you decide to go into politics, man? When did that happen?
Oh, man. I don't think it was just like one day. I think my kind of life just led me to it. Things that were happening in my life and the way my career actually went. Kind of just, it was a natural progression that it would lead to this. Of course, I started out with my education. I went to Prairie View A&M University, HBCU, and I majored in business there. So that was setting up the preliminary steps for something I didn't know I was going to actually do. I've always been involved in my community and try to make an impact anywhere I am. Yeah. And so as my career grew and I grew in the military and, ultimately retired, and then once I retired, I started working as a community activist. And I got asked several times to join some local boards and run for this office and run for that office. And it just wasn't the right time. Again, I was a single parent and I was transitioning. I was starting my company. Yeah. And then on January 6th, the insurrection happens. And I think back to when I was young, 19-year-old young man, and I raised my right hand to support and defend this country against all enemies, foreign and domestic. And I never thought I would have to actually do the domestic part. But as I sat back and watched television on January 6th and watched these people attack the Capitol, our Capitol, the People's House. Yeah. And I said that, Kermit, you have to be an impact. And so I tried to see the best way that I could impact that and other things that go along with being a congressman. And I said, the best way you can impact it is to be there. Yeah. And that, it starts with anything. Like a parent, it starts with being there. Being a pastor, it starts with being there. And as you said, I have to be there and I have to be a part of this. And that's what really sparked me to my interest in being a congressman.
See, but I think I'd have to go a step further than being there. You got to give a damn, man. In order to affect anything, You have
Absolutely.
to care. You have to care. And what struggle, we can talk about the insurrection real quick, but in order for that to be, because there's two streets on this. You got some folks who are like, oh, this is the worst thing that happened since the 1800s. You got some people say, it was just a rally that got out of control.
And you have to ask yourself, are they answering truthfully with their heart and their feeling, or are they answering politically? So there's two different ways to answer that.
And this is true. But the point I was trying to make is no matter which way you're looking at it, they kicked the windows in of the people's house.
Absolutely.
So it doesn't matter political or non-political. You just can't make that go away. In my opinion, one man's opinion, you just can't make that go away.
Absolutely.
No matter how you spin it. Well, anyway, we're not going to get you tied up in it because you're running for Congress. How did you start the process for running? If I wanted to run for Congress, how would I start? If a person wanted to run for congressional office, what would they do? How do you do that? The average person doesn't know. I don't have a clue. What do you do? Well,
our founders wanted Congress to be the people's house. So they did not make it challenging to become a congressman, as you note some of the people we have in office right now. But it was purposely designed because it wanted to be a representation of the people.
Right.
And, Congress is divided into two houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives.
Correct.
They purposely did the House of Representatives 2-year terms because they want people to be represented. And the qualifications, they did not make them difficult. You have to be 25 years old. It's not difficult.
No.
And you have to live in the United States for 7 years. Typically, it's great to live in your state. You do not have to run in a state, but you have to live in that state before you get inaugurated.
Okay, so you don't have to be a permanent resident of the state you run in, but you do have to be a resident of the state
before you're sworn in.
Oh, I didn't know that. See,
and you don't even have to. Texas. Some states are different. In Texas, you do not have to even live in the district that you represent. It's good to, and you should, but there's no requirement. And like I said, the founders did not want to make this a difficult process because they want the people to be represented in a governmental level.
Oh, that makes perfectly good sense to me. What does surprise me is the amount of people that don't know the difference between a leader and a representative.
Right. If you don't follow politics, we would everybody's congressman. We're all in Congress. But what it is, if you're a representative in your House of Representatives, you represent a district in your state. Right. Whereas you're a senator, you're part of the Congress, but you are 2 per state. Right. And that term is longer, and it's a little bit more difficult for senators, and their terms are longer too.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. But I mean, my point is, anyone in Congress, Senate or House, they're representatives. They represent the people.
Absolutely.
The only leaders, correct me if I'm wrong, that we have in our government are the president. He's elected to lead the United States of America. The governors, they're elected to lead those states. The mayors are elected to lead.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
Everybody else is supposed to be representing
representatives.
Absolutely. What kicks me in the butt is how many lawyers and millionaires do you know personally?
Never counted.
I don't know a lot. I don't know a lot of lawyers, but I know.
I probably know more lawyers than I know millionaires.
Yes, but I mean, I know doctors. I know policemen. I know fire department folks. I know electricians. I know military folks. But how come the majority of our Congress seem to be millionaires and lawyers? If you're representing the people, I think it should be just a chunk pulled out of America and stuck in Congress, and that's not the case.
Absolutely.
Except for you.
It's gradually changing. The last 2 elections, we've had some people that come in that weren't necessarily millionaires. A lot of the careers that politicians have, some of them are lifelong politicians. Some of them are business owners, and a lot of them that work in the legal profession. But there's no requirement that you have to. And if you look at Congress the way it is right now, a large proportion of them are Caucasian males, and the average age is about 57. That does not have to be that. You can be a 26-year-old African-American female and can go run, and you can be sitting right there with them. So but the currently right now, that's the statistics of it. Its average age is about 57, and it's a Caucasian male.
Yeah, I agree. Question from the chat. If you are elected, talking to you, soon to be congressman, if you are elected, what do you plan on doing? What are you running on?
Well, my platform right now, COVID-19 relief is huge on my spectrum. And other things that kind of would be affected by that is healthcare reform and some education reform. Both of those are directly correlated with COVID-19 because I have school-age children, and the way the education is affected by COVID by transitionally and haphazardly changing children from going to school where they are socially, emotionally, and all kinds of things that they develop by going to class. And now they're doing it by Zoom like we're doing this interview. And I imagine you would have me there personally if it wasn't for COVID-19.
I would.
But it truly affects everything. So COVID-19, getting that and making sure people kind of getting mandates that people have to wear their masks and get their vaccinations and socially distance and get those things till we get COVID-19 under control. And then it will trickle down and it will start to affect other things.
Nice. Let's not bog down. Moving to the next question. How would an interested person, actually we kind of touched on this already, how would an interested person inquire to join or assist your campaign? If someone want to help you out, I don't get with donations or with time or with anything, how would they get a hold of your campaign?
My website, Friends of Kermit Thomas. My personal Facebook is Kermit Thomas, of course. And my phone number, when we get in the chat, I have a congressional phone number that I use for my candidacy, and I'll get that number to you. Okay. They can call directly, my email, and I'll put all that stuff up, or you will put all that stuff for me. I'll get it to you, get the information to you, and we'll have all that information available. And of course, social media, phone calls or emails, I accept them all.
Okay, nice. And once again, folks, I'm going to have all that information in the show notes. Once this is over, I can edit the show notes and also be in the notes of the podcast, the actual podcast. For those of you that don't know, the audio version that goes out everywhere will go out tomorrow. I have to edit the audio. So what you get on video is one thing. I have to edit the audio and it goes everywhere. You name it, wherever you consume your favorite podcast, that's where it will be going out. Awesome. Someone asked a question. Oh, no, they didn't. They said, I'm from Cleveland. That was from Ted Greer. He's the one who did ask the question, if you were elected, what would you plan on doing? That's cool. I want to say hello to Daddy Dutch. Hey, Daddy Dutch, Kent. He says, hello, Daddy number 2, because we both got the same kind of name on YouTube. He's in he's in Iowa. Let me propose this to the ones in chat. If you would like me to put the number up so you can call in and ask questions, put it in the chat, and I will. If not, then we'll just keep moving. Square Table Degenerates, which is a podcast, says, is Mr. Thomas in favor of full marijuana legislation?
Absolutely.
I agree.
It's simple question answer. Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Next question. Moving right along. What major obstacles did you have to overcome? Any funny stories, interesting stories you had to overcome to take on this endeavor?
Well, first of all, when you make the decision to do it, you have to understand that there's a lot that comes with it. It's a lot of work because I did a lot of things and I was a community active, but I was retired, so I had to get out of that mindset. And you want to make sure that you stay grounded, and you got to keep people in your life that will keep you grounded. Because some days you're going to have bad days, but lots of days you're going to have some great days, and sometimes you kind of get lost from reality and detached from reality, and you don't even know what city you're in, let alone what state. So it's like you really got to just stay grounded and stay focused.
Here's one for you. This isn't one of the questions that I wrote down. Knowing your background, I know you have a strong resolve, and I know you got, you got intestinal fortitude. But are you prepared for the haters, man? There's gonna be, if you're running for office, for every good attaboy you get or every good comment, or there's gonna be someone that's gonna hate you guts, man. You ready for that?
Yeah, you have to have thick skin, and it's funny you say that because when you first decide to run, you want to talk to the people important in your life and let them know. And my brother gave me some huge advice immediately, and I don't know how he thought of it so soon. He said, understand, everybody's not going to support you, and everybody ain't going to like you. And even some people you were friends with or not with, they're going to talk about you behind your back. And what I do when I first started telling people, and I try to get a reaction so I can make my decision, and most people I met, just because it's my personality and it's what I do, I've always been a public servant. But the people, when I tell them and they just get real quiet, I just say, okay. They're like, don't say anything. So, and I may be wrong. I take it as they're not on with this.
Yeah.
I may be wrong,
though. Joey from Square Table Degenerates, once again, he has a podcast. He says, I Googled him and it said he was an officer in the Army. Thank you for your service, future Congressman Thomas. So there you go, man. Y'all put your hands together for military service.
Yes, military service.
All right. Have you ever had to deal with outsiders? You know what I'm saying? How to deal with people. We kind of touched on it. Not hating on you after you get elected. That's gonna happen. I'm talking about people saying you can't do it. You need to quit. Come on, man. What you thinking? You ever had anybody trying to hold you back?
Yeah. And I don't want to say anybody's name or anything, but some people. And it's funny. It's even before that. Because of course I was in the military before I became an officer. I was an enlisted as well. Then I got out and went to college.
That's where I met you.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. And a very, very good friend of mine, and it wasn't you, by the way, at that time, when I said I was getting out of the military and that I was going to go to college, they told me, you won't graduate. And, it did something to me because I was like, man, this guy knows me. We've been friends for like 4 years. Will I graduate? And of course, I did graduate and have 2 master's degrees too. So don't let people deter you. Even if, like I said, he was a close friend. So they pay attention because they're supposed to know you. And he said you weren't going to graduate. And I was like, oh God, am I going to graduate? And actually I did, of course. And so
is it, we're not going to call name. Is it a mutual friend? Do I know him?
You do.
Look, I'm going to punch him in the stomach. Next question. Have you ever done or said something out of anger about a character in front of people that you had to kind of explain away? You ever had to do a cleanup job by saying something?
Yes, and I had to do this one with God. I'm the pastor at my church.
You're right.
So when I speak and when I'm giving my lessons or my sermons, it's real passionate, and I just speak and I go off my notes and I go off script and whatever. And I don't remember exactly what I was saying, but I was so passionate about it. And I was in church and I almost cursed. And I caught it before it came out, but I felt so bad. And so I didn't have to apologize to anyone. And typically we don't record our sermons. This Sunday they was recording, and I was like, and so I didn't have to apologize to anybody in the congregation because I caught it before it came out. So I did the right thing. When I got home, I apologized to God and myself.
God forgive me. I couldn't do that job. I get mad. I'd be like, the Lord said this and you guys are doing this and y'all know that shit ain't right. Whoops.
You can't do that.
I can't do that. Send out the plate. That's terrible.
Yeah, so that was one big one.
Forgive me for that joke. That's terrible. Next question. What drives you, man? What pushes you? Philosophies, ideologies? What do you got? What makes the guts of Kermit Thomas?
Again, single father. Most important things are my children right now. Trying to get them to transition into adulthood. They're 17, 18, and 19. So that transition, is challenging for anyone. Mm-hmm. So that, and I'm passionate about the youth, working with the youth. They are our future, getting them involved in their education, getting them involved in the community, getting them involved with being veterans, military, and those things, and just trying to get them pointed in the right direction. And and work with the other legislatures to get things in place to help kids with their education and community involvement.
Nice. Ted Greer, actually, he's been coming up with some great questions. Ted Greer says, where do you stand on the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act? I haven't read it. I'm sure you haven't read it yet, but
right. I have not read it, but
the whole police reforms and things like that, I think that's what he's kind of leaning to. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I definitely think we need some police reforms. Definitely additional training and ongoing training throughout the military. Out of their legal careers, I think there needs to be more training, more involvement, and some leadership program. And I also believe in putting people within that community to work in that police force, so you can go there and have name recognition. As a little boy, one of the police officers in my neighborhood was Mr. Ted, and everybody knew him and everybody could relate to him. So if you had a disturbance and you got someone that understands your community and understand what may be going on and things, I think that helps out a lot. I also think that police officers do need to have some teams of mental health experts, because sometimes when we get a lot of these police calls and everything, if you're dealing with someone that has mental health issues, that police officer may not be trained to deal with people with necessarily mental health issues or other things that they may be dealing with. So we need to broaden that team and send out social workers, mental health help, and make sure when you call 911 that you're getting the right person. If you're dealing with someone that's possibly manic depressive, bipolar or something, just putting them in handcuffs and putting them in jail is not going to solve the problem. It's going to be a reoccurring problem. I'd rather deal with the mental health aspect of it or whatever is going on in that household or that home where the police were called.
See, I agree with you on that. I don't think the police need to be called for every, for every situation.
Absolutely.
You understand? You see what I'm saying? You got a fire department, same thing but different. You got a fire department. Okay. If the building's on fire, they send out the big truck and the guys with the hoses and stuff. But in that same fire department, you have paramedics. So if someone's sick, choking, or medical, they don't send a big truck. They're not prepared for that. They send the paramedics. They send a smaller unit for medical issues, and they both come out of the same building. Yeah, I think kind of like thinking back to how we were in the 82nd Airborne Division, we had our task force, remember?
Absolutely.
They tailored the task force for wherever we were going. The task force that we went into Panama with was different from the task force that we went into Iraq with. You with me? They used to tailor it. Sometimes they send more MPs, sometimes they send more artillery, sometimes they send some armor, sometimes they send more, they always send infantry. And I think the police force, and this is just one man thinking, this is Philip Riddick's idea, not the soon to be congressman, so don't be hating on him. I think they should be able to get the call, analyze it quickly, and then send out a quickly prepared team designed for that. Send some police out for protection, send out, you might have to have this is going to sound so terrible. You might have the crazy grabber team. There might be a crazy guy out there. You might have the crazy grabber team. All right. You might have the drug overdose team. You know what I'm saying? Send a couple police and some paramedics, or I'm just spitballing here.
Yeah, and you want to get the right person there for the emergency.
You want to have the great, I don't say person, I say right resources.
Absolutely.
Depending on the situation to call. Oh, so I'm in the house and someone's trying to kill me. Send the police. Come in gun blazing. All right. But hey, my mommy's on the floor and she's choking and she's flailing around. I think she's trying to hurt me. That doesn't mean she's trying to choke the baby out. It could mean she's having a seizure. You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
I don't know the right idea, but I think something along that lines might be helpful.
Right. Get the correct resources there. And 911 should not just be automatic. We're going to send a cop there.
I agree. So if you could help out with that soon to be congressman, that would be great. That would be great. Mona, she says, hi, Papa Phil, and young man being interviewed. She's from New Zealand. So you were being listened to from New Zealand, just so you know. Yeah, man, great ideas. This one's still an open wound, and this ain't a gotcha question, but the young lady that just got shot in whatever state, the lady with the knife. Mm-hmm. I'm not asking you if it was right or wrong or your view on it. I'm just saying, knowing that we still have things like this, okay, a lot of people, this is going to be a roundabout way of getting to the question. Not everyone, a lot of people were saying, well, now George Floyd, that's over and things have changed. Things haven't changed. No. That was a case that happened to go the right way, in my opinion. So what more do you think the government can do? We'll just take local Texas. What more do you think the local government can do to try to combat those type of situations? Because I personally don't think the police officer was wrong. I don't. Okay. Let me explain. I don't want you to, this is all about your congressional run, but since this is my platform, let me say this. Bottom line is, a police officer came up on an armed assailant trying to stab another person. All right. And what's all in the news is a 16-year-old girl got shot. No, the police officer didn't walk up and say, hey, how old are y'all? Before I start blasting, I need everybody's age. He didn't do that. He showed up. There was a person trying to stab another person. And from what I saw, he was like, get down, get down, get down, get down. Pop, 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 pop. And the lady was in the act of trying to stab another lady. I ain't saying it's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm sorry. I'm saying that I didn't see anything that the police officer did wrong given the situation, but it is a tragedy that a young lady got killed. My question is, instead of saying, how come the cop had to shoot? How come no one's saying, why did the girl need a knife?
Yes, that's a very challenging situation.
Yeah.
Police officers have a very daunting task of keeping us safe. And sometimes you have to make a split-second decision.
Yeah.
And people's lives are at stake, and you want to trust that our police officers are trained, well-resourced to make the right decision and getting the right people there. There's no way to screen someone's compassion for human life. There's no way to screen that. But what we can do is educate and reform. When I say educate, train the police officers more, buddy them up with other people, get them in the communities where they're known and where they know the communities. But there's no way to gauge the compassion that someone has for human life other than their record as a police officer.
You can't. Ted Greer says her name was Makia Bryant.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So 16-year-olds. He says, so you agree? I think the question is, so do you agree on defunding the police? Before you answer that, folks, what defunding means isn't disband the police. That's never been what defunding the police has been about. They were saying take funds from one area of the police force and redirect it into another area, still in the police force, like we were saying earlier. Not all police shooting, training cops only. Take some of those funds and start putting in some social workers, the same things we were talking about earlier. That's what defunding the police has always been. Having said that, soon to be Congressman, I'm going to ask you the question. Do you agree on defunding the police?
Yes, and I'd like to say, first of all, thanks for explaining that, because I have to explain it several times to people, and there's a misconception, or even it's presented in a way as like, defund the police and have no cops, and people just run around amok, and that's not what it means. But given the context of what you say, just said, yes, I do support that.
Yeah, and I do too. I wish they never came up with. There's so many words I wish they never.
Yeah, probably the way they say it when you say defund the police. If you don't do your research and you don't really understand what they're talking about, like I'd be terrified. Oh, when I call 911, who's going to answer the phone if they defund the police?
So I wish they would have said reallocate.
Yeah, there you go.
I wish they would have said that, but defund turned out to be the buzzword because somebody said it.
And we also have to realize that some people have political agendas. So when they say defund the police, it gets people riled up. And sometimes that's what it's intended to do.
All right, next question. We kind of got off, but thank you off that the subject a little bit. What advice would you give a young person aspiring to enter politics?
Well, I would say pursue your education, just because I'm a huge advocate for education. I probably would major in some legal studies or either political science. Okay. I also would start reading your local newspapers as well as national, and understanding the key issues that are going on in the world. Be apprised of those things. Build a network. It's so important. The more people you know, the more connections, because it's all about votes and money and things. And then you'd have to once you build a network, you have to start fundraising, which, dollars equals advertisement and visits and all the things you have to do to promote yourself, because you're actually the product running as your thing. You have to convince people, sell them on you, but that, sales takes money to do. And you also want to make sure you file your proper paperwork. So there was a person that would have won, but they did not properly file their paperwork. I don't want to say their name, but it was a funny situation. They did everything. The polls show that had they filed correctly, they actually would have won. So running for representative is a 2-year wait, so they had to wait 2 years, and 2 years later they actually did win and would have won the first time had they filed. So you have to file your paperwork, you have to meet the qualifications, of course, be 25 years old, live in the United States, live in the state you want to represent, not necessarily districts, be apprised of the key issues in your area, and build a network, fundraise, and file your paperwork properly. Like I said, the founders intended for this not to be a difficult job to get, but they also were wise enough to know that it needed to be 2 years so we can have representation of the people and not just have people just staying there forever.
Got you. Now, I'm not going to ask the question, but I firmly believe there should be term limits. You should not retire out of Congress. I don't give a damn. You should.
Well, actually, you can retire after 5 terms.
Right. I don't think you should be there 5 terms.
Oh, okay.
I think, me personally, and I don't know the right answer, you can only run for president twice. So I would say you could do 2 terms back to back, then get out or do something else. And then after someone else holds that seat, then come back, you can do another 2 terms. You should not be able to sit there, in my opinion, and just freaking be able. Now you got lobbyists and you got funny money and all. You know what I'm saying? You should not be there so long that the system is. That's a terrible word. That you know what I'm saying? You should not be established to the point where you are the government, as opposed to if you were being a representative. Because as soon as you think of Kentucky, Mitch McConnell, Strom Thurmond was there for a million years. Right. I don't think anyone should be able to do that so long. And then also, I'm 50-some years old, okay? And I can't even figure out this new math. 2 + 2 ain't 4 no more. Now they do. Now they start carrying a run and throw it to the side and lines and squares and crap. I don't know what they do anymore. And right. I think once you get too old, and I don't know what too old is, but once you get too old, your brain's too old. You can't think fresh anymore. You got folks in Congress that got elected right on the butt end of freaking Jim Crow, still there. That doesn't disappear. That, you know what I'm saying? That's in there somewhere. That's in your brain. You know what I'm saying?
I agree. There should be some term limits.
There should be something where, you need to keep the ideas fresh. You know what I'm saying? You got some old folks in there. It's like, you still there? Or Nancy Pelosi, Mitch McConnell. You got some folks so old. I'm like, man, why are you still there?
I will not call anybody's names, but
I will. But they old. All I'm saying is they old. I'm not saying that they're doing a good or bad job, but why are you there so long?
Yeah, I see what you're saying, because you don't want that position to be associated with that person, because it's the people's house, and it should be connected with the people and not a person.
Right, exactly. 2 comments. Ted Greer, once again, he says, Ted Greer says, Ma'Khia Bryant was defending herself from 2 30-year-old women. Okay, even with that, this is Phil's view, Philip Riddick. Even if that happens, call the police, and I know that was done, get away from them, and then get them arrested. I still don't understand how come a knife came out and somebody was going to get hurt or killed, either by the knife or by a gun. Nothing good was going to happen there. So we could what if this all day. It's unfortunate that there was 2 30-year-old women, if that's the case, because I don't know the entire story, trying to jump on the 16-year-old, jump on the girl, the 16-year-old Ma'Khia. But there was a lot of people standing around in that video, folks. And nobody could try to stop the stuff before the police showed up. And then there were police there already before the shooter showed up. I just think there was a lot of failures. There. Yeah. But we're going to move right along.
Either way, it's unfortunate for everybody involved and their families.
Yeah. This is a punch in your ribs. Politicians only look out for their best and line their pockets. Don't do that, Congressman Thomas.
well, the thing about that is... a lot of them do, but that's not what it's about. It's not even what motivated me to run. And like I said, I've been a public servant my entire adult life, and a lot of it was volunteer hours, especially once I retired. I volunteer all the time, and I do it passionately out of my heart. And I partner with other nonprofits and as well as my church. So
nice.
It's never been about that for me.
What is your biggest regret in reference to the government? Any level of government, or what's your biggest regret, man? What do you hate the most?
It
could be personal. It could be however.
When you say the government, you mean any level of government? What,
Local, state, federal. What's your biggest regret? What do
see, if I
you
say
not
state,
like?
y'all gonna know who I'm talking about. Even if I say local, they're gonna know who I'm talking about. No, I see. My biggest thing is right now. What's really important to me right now is the community. COVID-19 and some of the responses that have happened with COVID-19
Yeah.
and the vaccination and the mandates. That's huge. And education reform that I think we need. Those are the two huge ones right now with me. Definitely the response to COVID-19. It's getting better, but I think there's still a lot of work to be done with COVID-19.
So
And
I'm paraphrasing or the regret is that the initial rollout wasn't good and then it got better. You regretted that it didn't roll out better.
Well, I regret that it wasn't responded to correctly when it happened. It came out of nowhere, but I think there could have been by our government. It could have been a better response initially and acceptance of it and getting the word down to us and getting some of the things in place. Pretty much, that was a huge regret that
I agree.
get this stuff done faster.
Now, what is your biggest hope? Being a soon-to-be congressman, what is your biggest hope in reference to our government in any level?
Well, I hope that we can learn to not be so divisive with Republican and Democrat. I hope we can work together better to do what's better for the country instead of a political party or an individual person's ideas, and come back to be not I'm a Republican, I'm a Democrat, I'm a progressive, I'm a conservative. I hope it comes back together. So, because you know what, I was military most of my life, apolitical. Yeah. So we wanted to be able to work together for a common goal that what is best for everyone and not necessarily hold so many personal things against each other. Because as you see now, you can see people present a platform or present a resolution or a litigation out, and people will vote against it without even reading it. And so hopefully we can work together to get policies in place with common goals and common goal of supporting everyone in the United States.
I agree with you. Now, I'm going to go all the way back to where we started.
Fort Bragg?
No. Where we started this conversation.
Oh, okay.
You have to care. You got to give a damn. That's my biggest hope. My biggest hope I'm going to answer the question that I asked you. My biggest hope, wait. My biggest regret in reference to the government is people ain't working for the people. They're working for themselves. A lot of that I see from our federal government. I'm talking about Congress. I've seen that. Hell, a lot of people don't even hide it. So that's my biggest regret. My biggest hope is that people of all levels of government start giving a damn about the people. Start caring about the people. Stop worrying about whether you're going to get reelected or not. Worry about what your people need. At every level. Aldermen, principal. They're not elected, but and working together. Any branch, anywhere, mayor, governor, president, all of them care about us. We the people. All
Absolutely.
Right? Not we the legislators. We the people.
Absolutely.
That's my biggest hope. Anyway, last question, and then we can go wherever from here. If you were king for a day, what would or could you do to improve things across the board? What is the biggest thing you could do, if you could, for posterity?
I would make sure that, very important to me, that every human being has affordable health care, affordable housing, education, and the income inequality, I would bring that down through some taxation and some litigation.
Okay. Oh, here's a question from Jared, Frack Daddy Barbecue. He says, does he think, he meaning you, do you think it should be mandatory for everyone to get the shot? I assume that's the COVID-19 vaccine. Do you think it should be mandatory?
I think it should be highly, highly recommended.
I agree. Nothing should be mandatory. Anything that pertains to a person's body. Once again, this is Philip Riddick talking, not soon to be Congressman Thomas. Anything dealing with anybody's body should be their choice, but I do believe it should be highly recommended
encouraged.
Yeah, highly encouraged, based on the whole herd immunity that the Republican administration wanted before. They were trying to get herd immunity, so that's
Yes.
what we're still trying to get, herd
Yeah.
immunity.
Yeah.
But since I
Okay,
did
but-
say anybody's body, that includes women and abortions and all that other stuff too. Leave folks alone.
I
Recommend.
see.
Let them decide.
Just that's my answer as well. Highly encouraged, but
Highly
not
encouraged.
mandated.
Oh, Ted Greer, our children and babies are under attack by these educators and law enforcement officers with this school to prison pipeline. What do you plan on doing about that? Is that a thing in Texas?
Well, what I see with the when you talk about the crime, is he talking the crime rate? Is that what
Well,
the
I
question
think
is?
what he's talking about is there's, especially in like me being from the south side of Chicago, when you start getting to the inner cities, you know, you get the young kid. One, black folks, brown people don't get the best education, and sometimes they do get into crime, get into trouble, and then the first thing they do is get locked up. Some places you got 3 strikes you're out. Remember that, the 3 strikes you're out type of stuff, and sentences weren't always the same. The Clinton administration, I'm kind of going on a tangent here. The Clinton administration with the
Gotcha.
what was it, war on drugs, and then before that, the Reagan administration, just say no, all of
Yes,
that.
you know?
But they were putting a misproportionate amount of black folks in jail and young people. So the question, once again, our children are, well, comment is our children and babies are under attack by these educators and law enforcement officers with this school to prison pipeline. So what do you plan on doing about that?
Well, what we have to first notice that if you go to low income areas, the first thing you notice is the crime rate is higher. There's a direct correlation with the income level and the education level and the crime rate. So what we have to do is get more funding for education, increase some of the income, and automatically statistics show that the crime rate goes down in those areas.
And I agree with that.
Education and income level brings some jobs to those areas. You said Chicago. I go to Chicago all the time, and you see all this open space of buildings and things that just go on that aren't even being utilized.
Yeah.
Well, we can bring businesses to those areas and bring jobs to those areas. And then, like I said, there's a direct correlation with the crime rate and the income level and the education level. Crime rate goes down when the income level goes up and the education level goes up.
That's true. You have smarter people, you make more money, there's no reason to steal.
Well, that's not the only crimes people do, but you're right. Absolutely right.
I'm dumbing it way down. If you
correct.
if you level the playing field enough for the lower income people to have access to jobs, better
Absolutely.
education, therefore they have more income, why would I have to steal your TV if I could buy my own?
Absolutely.
That type of thing. Yeah.
And if I'm out getting my education and if I'm at work, I'm not out fighting. I'm not in the streets. I'm not off all day and nothing to do. It's like,
Exactly. Jared says, I like that answer. I like his answer to that. Nice. You're doing good, man. You're winning over my Republican friends. That's awesome. That was my last question, man. We could wrap up. What would you like to say to anyone in Texas, if this conversation might get out that way? Or what would you like to say in general to push your campaign?
well, I'd like to again say a little bit again. I'm Kermit Thomas. I am in the exploratory committee to run for U.S. Congress in the state of Texas. My campaign we're finishing up the exploratory. Should we go forward with the campaign, it will be launching June and July, full forward. Look for us on social media. Riddick's Book of Philosophy is going to put my information on there. Contact us. We need donations. We can get donations right now. And that helps us with our exploratory committee to build our network and build our campaign. And I'm looking forward to being a representative in U.S. Congress in Texas and back and forth to D.C. But again, some of the things that are really I'm passionate about are our youth, education, COVID-19, healthcare reform.
Yes.
And immigration, of course, being from Texas, immigration is a big one. And another big, huge thing of mine, being a veteran myself, veterans' rights and making sure veterans have all the things they deserve. As we all know, some get out and they're dealing with mental health issues and everything. And if they don't address them, then they just progressively get worse. And then you have someone that just maybe 5 years ago were defending his country and now they can't even fend for themselves. Yeah. And I think we as a country owe them that.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. Now, we talked about this before we got on. When you get elected, will you come back to let me be the first podcast that interviews Congressman Kermit Thomas?
When I win, and it will be January 3rd, 2023, I'll be sworn in.
Yeah.
Before that time, you will be the first podcast interview I do, and I will do it right there in your studio.
Yeah, you'll be right here. Wait, let me give you one of these. Hey, look, you'll be sitting right here with this microphone.
That's the microphone I'll be using.
That's right.
And actually, the election's November 8th, so I will November 12th. I will fly down.
I'll probably see you before that anyway.
Yeah, you'll definitely see me before then.
Anyway, thank you so much. Soon to be Congressman Thomas, man. Thank you for your time. Thank you for your knowledge, man. I learned a lot. I learned a lot of things that I didn't know about the process. And brother, you know you're always welcome.
Absolutely.
And we're going to wrap it up, guys. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you enjoyed this, share this with everybody that you know. There's more and more of these coming more often because my family issues are done. And having said that, guys, we are out of here in 5, 4. Kermit, don't go nowhere. 3, 2, 1. I love you like cooked food. COVID is still out there. And if you hear somebody sneeze, you better run. I'll see you when I see you.